Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to another episode of the Tigers Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Schulte. My goodness, that is loud. This podcast being recorded on Monday, August 5th, 2024. First things first, most people will be seeing this on YouTube tomorrow on the 6th. Happy birthday to my beautiful daughter, Maya. She'll be 5 tomorrow, August 6th. So that's a big thing. It's a good deal, and it's really groovy. So with all that out of the way, let's get to a few things. Got a couple of updates and a couple of other things to talk about. So we're going to go ahead and do that right here. We're going to try to do it in less than 20 minutes because if it goes over 20 minutes, usually the file's too big because I'm cheap and have a free account on Tunes to Tube, and it ends up having to be re-encoded at a lower bit rate. So that sucks. But anyway, on to the injury report. Starting off with Parker Meadows. He was reinstated over the weekend, came up and had a triple on Saturday and scored the game-winning run, courtesy of Winsell Perez, on Saturday night in the 11th inning. And so that was good to see. Parker Meadows just makes this offense better. He really does. And he makes the defense better. And he gives A.J. Hinch some more flexibility. So you can put Matt Vierling at third. And once Riley Green comes back, you can have 3 center fielders out in the outfield because you'll have Winsell Perez in right. Riley Green in center. Parker Meadows in center. And Riley Green in left. Or you could put Matt Vierling in center instead of Parker Meadows and still have 3 center fielders out there. So he's got a lot of more flexibility there. So Meadows comes back. Javi Baez took some time off for some personal issues. He was on the personal bereavement list. So more than likely a death in the family. He went back to Puerto Rico and dealt with that, came back on Friday. And he doubled in the Tigers' 6-5 win on Saturday over Kansas City. We've only got 3 more left against Kansas City. We've already lost the season series to them. They have beaten us 7 out of 9 times. I'll say it again. 7 out of 10 times. They're 7-3 against us. Part of that is a series sweep in Kansas City. Part of that is a 3-1 series win here in Detroit. Kansas City is for real, folks. I hate to say it because they're Kansas City. They should do their jobs and fall apart and be a 100-loss team like they're supposed to be, but they're not. So it is what it is, and we got to deal with that. I sort of bet on them being a 100-loss team, and they ended up not being a 100-loss team. So there you go. Casey Mize will probably go out on a rehab assignment this week. He threw live batting practice on Saturday against Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green, who will both also probably be going out on rehab assignments shortly. Now, Kerry Carpenter is probably closer to a rehab assignment than Riley Green is. Riley Green is not running yet at full speed. They anticipate Kerry Carpenter possibly going out on a rehab assignment this week, if not next week. So that will be a good thing to get him back into the offense, to get Riley Green back into the offense. And hopefully we'll have, just a longer and stronger lineup. Yes, it's going to be a little more left-handed with Carpenter and Meadows and Green all in it at the same time. And Colt Keith, so you could theoretically have 5 lefties in your lineup or 5 righties, depending on how you want to do it, because you'd probably have Perez in there and Vierling. So Perez is the switch hitter, and your catching tandem is right-handed because Dylan Dingler made his debut last week. He looked pretty good. He is 2 for 7, 2 for 8, something like that. But he doesn't look overmatched up here at the major league level. But you could theoretically have a lineup where you have Vierling leading off, Perez hitting second. Vierling leading off, Keith hitting second, Green hitting third, Perez or Carpenter hitting fourth. Perez or Carpenter hitting fifth, depending on how you wanted to do that. And then you have a situation where you can mix and match. And that's not a bad 1 through 5. Let me tell you that right now. And then you've got, Gio Urshela, Jake Rogers, Javi Baez, or Dylan Dingler, depending on who you want for your catcher for that day. Ryan Valade, I don't know what they're going to do at first base. And now that Mark Canha is gone and Spencer Torkelson just still isn't, he's starting to catch fire. He's starting to heat up a little bit. But there's a lot of things to look at. What's he going to do against the fastball? What's he going to do against, how's he handling the fastballs down in Toledo? Has he been hitting fastballs? And not only that, but has he been hitting fastballs with some power? And we haven't seen any numbers on that. We don't know. We don't know what the general manager, what Scott Harris, Jeff Greenberg, and AJ Hinch are looking at. But we do know they're looking at something. And that Spencer Torkelson hasn't done what needs to be done yet to come back up to the big leagues. He will. He should get a chance. He's a number 1 draft pick. He should definitely get a chance. So that's a thing. So I don't know, like I said, because you're going to have to send somebody down. You're going to either have to send Justin Henry Malloy down or Bly Madris or Ryan Valade down. Well, you're going to have to send 2 of those 3 down. When you get Carpenter back, when you get Green back. So you're going to have to send 2 guys back down. Now, Bly Madris's big thing is he's left-handed, so he can play first base for you. And he's pretty decent as an outfielder as well. Ryan Valade is right-handed, can play first base and left or right field. I believe he was in center for a couple of innings in a game last week. Justin Henry Malloy is kind of the odd man out, although he's been performing the best out of the 3. He's got 8 homers and 18 runs batted in or something like that. So he's hitting pretty well. So what you'll probably end up seeing them do is sending Valade and Madris back down to Toledo and keeping Green, well, obviously keeping Green and Carpenter, but keeping Justin Henry Malloy. So you may end up with a situation where you have Veerling leading off, Keith batting second, Malloy hitting third, Green hitting fourth, Carpenter hitting fifth, Perez hitting sixth, Urshela hitting seventh, Rogers or Dingler, take your pick, hitting eighth, and Javi Baez hitting ninth. And if you do that, then you got Veerling at third and Urshela at first, and that's not a bad deal. Justin Henry Malloy is your DH. Put Parker Meadows in instead of Kerry Carpenter. So you'd move everybody up one from 5, 6, and 7. So you'd end up with Urshela. You'd probably have Perez hitting fifth, Urshela hitting sixth, Rogers hitting seventh, Meadows hitting eighth, and Baez hitting ninth. I don't know how they want to do it, but they'll have a lot more lineup flexibility now once Carpenter and Green come back than they do at this moment. And you just got to figure out who's going to play first. And that's a problem right now for AJ Hinch. Although you might end up just seeing Gio Urshela take more reps at first and Matt Veerling playing third. I think they need to take Colt Keith off of second base, put him at first, bring Jace Young up and have him play second, and just let Spencer Torkelson sort himself out. Because if nothing else, then at the end of the day, you've got Colt Keith hitting or playing first and second at some point. So you got a little bit of position flexibility there. But I'm not the manager, so I don't know. I'm not the general manager, so I don't know. I'm not the president, so I don't know. Not really impressed with what the Tigers did at the trade deadline. They got some minor leaguers back for Jack Flaherty. They got some minor leaguers back for Carson Kelly and some minor leaguers back for Andrew Chafin. Will not see any of them at any point this year. So that's a problem, especially when you look at the fact that we need starting pitching. Now Casey Mize is going to come back at the end of August. And you got Brant Herter and Brian Sammons who have come up and pitched well in long relief roles. They are capable of starting. So you could theoretically have Tarek Skubal. You could have a left-handed heavy rotation. You could have Tarek Skubal, Kader Montero, Brian Sammons, Brant Herter, and possibly Kenta Maeda coming back into the starting rotation. Or you could leave one of them in the bullpen and have Kenta Maeda being a starter again and go left, right, and then have a bullpen day. What you cannot sustain over a prolonged period of time is 3 straight bullpen days. And right now, that's what it looks like the Tigers are doing. Right now, it looks like the Tigers are going, we're just going to swim with our openers. Tyler Holton's going to start 2 out of 3 days in a row. So he'll start on Thursday against Seattle, and then he'll start again on Saturday against Seattle, and on Friday we'll just sort of piece it together. And then Sunday in San Francisco, we'll have Faedo start on Friday against San Francisco. We'll have Holton start on Saturday, and then Sunday we'll have Skubal. You can't do that. You just can't. They cannot maintain 3 openers on this roster. They just don't have the luxury to do that. The pen is already starting to fall apart. I mean, look at what they did on Friday against Kansas City. Tarek Skubal left the game with a 3-2 deficit. Shelby Miller came in and coughed it up, gave up 2 more. And the hit parade continued. They got 9 straight hits off of 3 different pitchers. Ended up winning that game 8-2. So you just don't have what it takes to maintain that kind of workload on your bullpen. You just don't. So anyway, one of the questions that I've heard on Mastodon is, will Jackson Jobe make it to the major leagues this year? No. He won't. I watched him pitch on Thursday. He has a lot of work to do. He needs a lot of refinement. He's in AA for a reason, folks. He's only 21 years old. If he makes it to AAA this year, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But with all the things that he needs to do, look, he went 4 innings, gave up 3 runs on 4 hits. Gave up 3 runs on 5 hits, walked 4, struck out 3. Now, the 3 runs was the most he's ever given up, and he's given up this whole year in AA. The 5 hits is the most he's given up this whole year in AA. The 4 walks is the second most that he's given up. He's walked 9 batters in the last 2 games. So, at the end of the day, Jackson Jobe isn't ready for the big leagues just yet. Will he be ready this time next year? Probably. But he'll have pitched a lot in AAA before he gets up into the big leagues. You'll see him start a lot in spring training or come out of the bullpen a lot in spring training next year, and that'll be good for him. But he's not going to make the big club coming out of spring training next year. He's not going to be a September call-up this year. It's just not going to happen. Your two spring September call-ups are going to probably be Jace Young and Spencer Torkelson. If not Jace Young and another starting pitcher, possibly Matt Manning, depending on what his injury situation looks like. Although, with all that being said, Reese Olson anticipates coming back and pitching sometime this year as well, which will be good. So you just never know. You just don't know what's going to happen here, and you don't know where things are going to go. I just hope that they settle down the starting rotation situation in a hurry, because if they don't, this is going to get out of control fast. And Detroit's going to find themselves way, way, way below the 500 mark. Not as bad as the White Sox, but nobody's as bad as the White Sox. But they'll still be way below the 500 mark, and they'll still be looking at, a top 10 draft pick again. And we're tired of picking there. So hopefully they get this bullpen situation sorted out, their starting rotation situation sorted out, and hopefully their three big guns can get back to being their three big guns, and we can start looking at some good offensive production like we were seeing before Riley Green went on the injured list. With that, I encourage you, like and subscribe on YouTube if you can. I would really appreciate it. Check me out on Mastodon at TB Podcast at tweezecake.social. I'm on Twitter at Podcast Tigers. You can email me tigersbaseballpodcast@gmail.com. It's the world's longest email address. I'm proud of that. Until next week, thanks for listening, folks, and go Tigers.